Thanks for joining the community call today on the November 12th. I'm Christian Neu, the governing board chair of the NeoNephos Foundation, if you don't know me. We want to use that session to update you guys on the latest development of the foundation, to have some demos of the projects which we present, and also give the time to open the room for discussions. If you have questions or want to join the foundations or apply with a project, happy to discuss that here. And with that, I would say let's get started. First, I need to show the antitrust policy notice from the Linux Foundation from a completion perspective. And with that, I would go through the agenda. As I said, we would like to give an update about where we are now. And afterwards, Steffen Kelch will give you an update about Open Managed Control Plane, OpenMCP. And with that, we will open also the room for discussion for the project, but also for the foundation itself. Okay, so where are we now? Welcome Plus Server. Thanks for joining Plus Server. So we have now 10 general members. That's pretty great. Last time we had like the first voting of our governing board representatives for the general members. Now with Plus Server, we have like our 10th general members, meaning that we will have a second vote. And with that, we will get soon a new representative. That's something I will align with the Linux Foundation to coordinate everything, that we start with that nomination process. So I think that's really great news. And what we are seeing is we are getting more and more members, I guess, every month. And I think sooner or later this month, we will also get some additional people on board. So that's pretty great. Okay, and we are working a lot of stuff in the background. Founding a foundation is not easy. For us also the first time. We donated like 10 projects in the beginning. And the first 5 projects are now actually fully accepted, meaning every step what we need to do with the Linux Foundation is completed for these projects. One of this project is Open Managed Control Plane, which Steffen will be talking about. And the other 5 will also be hopefully completed in November. But again, it's a lot of work from a coordination perspective, together with the members, together with the Linux Foundation. And but we are getting there soon. And we also have new projects in the pipeline. We also see that Project Catalyst, for example, with Nearby Computing, just released like press release, where they also added new components for Catalyst, which will be added there. So I think that's a great addition, and what we are seeing, we are growing a lot and a lot. By the way, setting up that foundation takes time, also from a perspective of how do you want to drive the social media activities. So basically, we now have like a new community call series, which we will upload to the new YouTube channel. So this is the first session which we will upload, but it doesn't stop there. So basically, we will want to at every demo, review meeting, everything what we get from a conference perspective, we will cluster that in that YouTube series, and open that up, that everyone can access that content. And if you didn't see that, we also have like a new LinkedIn page. So basically, follow us for the NeoNephos Foundation. We also have our first event coming up on Monday next week, together with the BMWE from Germany, giving like a keynote about the Digital Sovereignty Summit. So I think that's pretty interesting. If you haven't registered yet, do that and follow that presentation, and come up for that discussion afterwards. And I think I showed that a couple of weeks ago. So basically, we already registered for Zulip, which is like one of the communication channels from Linux Foundation. We would really like to have a discussion with you. If you have ideas, what you want to contribute, or if you want to just have a discussion with us, join us on the Zulip chat. Get the software downloaded. It's also open source, and we hope that we get as much of the members and also interested parties there. And from a roadmap perspective, we are currently setting up that strategic governing board workshop where we do the budget planning and so on, and define the roadmap for the next year. So basically, that's what we are currently focusing on as a prior one. Where do we want to develop the foundation itself, but also getting the projects what we already had donated, and to get that really active out of the door, together with the strategy how you be onboarded as a new project, and what does it actually mean to be part of the project from a lifecycle perspective. How can you change from one lifecycle to another of a project? How can you get better and bigger? That's what we define currently in our discussions together with Linux Foundation and the governing board. So what we also listed here are the current events. I just showed the first event, which is happening on Monday, together with the German BMWE on Monday at the European Digital Sovereignty Summit. Link is here, so feel free to join it. On Wednesday, we also have a second panel talk about IPSIDE-SYS, joining as NeoNephos as a foundation, also together with, I think, Silva was it. I think that will be a great discussion, showcasing what we are developing actually with IPSIDE-SYS. And on the Tuesday, 2nd of December, we will also have like our regular multi-cluster Kubernetes series, the second one. We have every series in our calendar. Please have a look and join us in our sessions, because I think they are really interesting. And by the way, we are also having our next town hall meeting. It's on the 3rd of December, Wednesday, where we discuss with the NeoNephos foundation members, what is the strategy, how can I include myself, and what's new from a project perspective, or how do we set up everything else from the management of the foundation. And with that, I would like to hand over to Steffen, and if you want, you can now take over and give us a demo about the project you're working on.
Thank you very much. So I think I'm audible and you see my shared screen. Please confirm.
Yeah.
Very good. So thanks again for having me. My name is Steffen Kelch. I work at SAP, and today I'm going to introduce you to OpenMCP. And stop, MCP does not stand for Model Context Protocol. It is Managed Control Plane. So that this is out of the way, let's begin. So let's assume we are Dave, who is a member of a central DevSecOps team and is in charge of orchestrating cloud resources for a couple of very important cloud products. There's a new flagship product, which is an AI-powered mobile app with the name Virtual Sliced Bread version 2.0. And our CEO requests us on a Friday morning to deploy the new flagship product for a demonstration on Tuesday at the Apple Worldwide Developer Conference. I know this is a pretty standard use case for everybody here, but let's just roll with it. As this app really uses personal and organization data, we must really be in control where our data is being stored, and we would like to only store it at a compliant vendor only. So let's have a look at the cloud architecture itself. Of course, for the application, we need a workload cluster where our almighty AI processor is running on, and our containerized applications and API is living. Then, of course, for the data persistency, we want a PostgreSQL database, of course, at a compliant vendor only. So these are now our depending services. Now, how would a setup, a provisioning look like without the open managed control plane? We would first, of course, create the cluster, the workload cluster itself via kubectl, cluster API, or whatnot. Then, after it's provisioned, we would then manually deploy our Helm charts, customize KCL, queue, whatnot on the cluster itself. Then, of course, we would need the persistency layer, and we would provision a database via the GCP API or CLI, or maybe even via ClickOps going into the web console of GCP and doing that there. Then, after this is being done, we need the SQL CLI in order to initialize the structure and maybe the content of the database itself. Then, of course, all of these components need to talk to each other. So we need credentials, service accounts, and so on, so that each component can talk to each other in an automated, seamlessly fashion way. So as you can already see here, there are many, many tools involved, and this rather easy to understand use case is getting complex very quickly. Of course, manual work or semi-manual work is error-prone, and it is also time-intensive. And I did not even speak about day 2 operations yet. So let's have a look at how would that look like with the open managed control plane itself. So we have here a managed control plane, which is just a Kubernetes cluster, and on that is running crossplane. The crossplane Kubernetes, Helm provider, a vendor provider, which is right now the GCP one, and the SQL provider itself. Via the Kubernetes crossplane provider, we can just order from our Gardener new workload cluster itself via just a simple manifest. And if you have not heard about Gardener, please check it out and subscribe to it. It's really great. I love Gardener. It does make us working with Kubernetes cluster so much easy. So please check it out. And additionally, with the Helm crossplane provider, we can then install all of our Helm charts, the containerized application, APIs, the almighty AI processor on this workload cluster. Then, of course, with the vendor provider, for example, the GCP provider, crossplane provider, we are now able to provision or to request an Postgre database. And with the SQL provider, we can then initialize the schema and also maybe the initial content. So you already see that for Dave, we now have really simplified and unified the whole development experience. There are not a lot of CLI tooling and waiting for him, in that case. We have the entire stack, our desired state of our cloud infrastructure. We have it in code inside the KRM. And of course, because crossplane and the providers are Kubernetes operators and controllers, it is self-healing. With that, our software and cloud landscape is now reviewable and also reversible. But how do actual teams now get an MCP build? Because it's very nice talking about what we can do, but how do we actually get one itself? And now there comes the onboarding API into play. The onboarding API itself is also just a Kubernetes cluster. And with that, a developer or any other tooling which understands the Kubernetes API can connect to the onboarding API and request via the kind managed control plane an own new managed control plane. We can set the desired region in which the MCP should be spawned, and we can request what components shall be installed on that and then later on maintained. Additionally, we can also do authentication, authorization stuff here, but we just want to do the default identity provider for now. Simplify speaking, after the onboarding API is doing a little bit of magic, it has provisioned a new managed control plane and installed all of our requested components into that managed control plane itself. And it will also manage those in the long run. After all of that is done in green, as we all know, everything is very easily fast and done in green. The kubeconfig will be published and can be used by the developer and or by the DevSecOps teams in order to connect to this newly created and managed control plane. Now, let's have a look at the technical components that I just brought up and why we are using it. So for the resource orchestration, we are using Crossplane because we want to stay confident as our desired cloud landscape is defined in code and its state is continuously observed. As I already said, because Crossplane and Crossplane providers are Kubernetes operators controllers, they are implementing the reconciler loop, they're detecting drifts and try to apply our desired state to make it into the actual state at the service provider they're talking to, which is very great. Then, of course, we would like to move out our Kubermanifest out of the Kubernetes cluster into a code repository. And in order to do that, we really would like to stay in full control of our cloud landscape state files. And therefore, we are using Git repositories and also, for example, GitHub. So we are using Flux as our GitOps integration, so that Flux is doing the heavy lifting of comparing, syncing, and applying the latest Kubernetes manifest or packages that it looks at. With that, we now have a history of changes of the managed control plane resources, which are also, of course, now revertible. And all the changes are now reviewable and validated through PRs and your pipelines that you build on top of it. Now, SAP is really a big company, and we have a lot of security and product standards. To enforce those security and product standards in our own cloud landscapes from code, we are using as a policy engine Kyverno. And it's very easy for us to define the policies to prevent undesired behavior or configurations at the managed control planes that we are offering for all of our teams who wants to use them. Then again, there are a lot of credentials, a lot of secrets flying around so that each component can talk to each other. Therefore, we also need secret management. For this, we are using the very great external secrets operator. Because with that, we can manage, rotate, and audit all of our secrets. With it, we can pull and push from and to many credential stores. And we can connect our company secret store with these. Additionally, we can also pull, push, and do whatever we want with secrets from and to the managed control plane and from and to the work clusters. But last but not least, how do we now do actual platform engineering, this current buzzword besides AI in our space? Of course, we're using OpenMCP itself. But let's take a little step back first. So these components that I just introduced all of yourself, this is only pre-bundled managed control plane setup for us, for us, how we are using it as SAP. If you do not like, for example, the GitOps or the resource orchestrator or the policy engine, you can replace it with anything that you want. You can tell with the OpenMCP, please use, for example, Argo CD with that. And then your managed control planes will be spawning with the versions that you have released and published for the usage within the managed control plane. So OpenMCP is easily extendable to your needs, to your projects, to your company, to your business unit, and is completely open source. and we are using it inside SAP very successfully. So let's get back to platform engineering itself. How can we do that? So simplified speaking, with one managed control plane, you can, with a cross-plane Kubernetes provider, you can connect to the onboarding API because it's also just a Kubernetes cluster, and then create and manage other managed control planes with that over the onboarding API. This is very good because with this concept, we can also define platform-defined content like the secrets, policies, operators, what we want to install additionally on that, so that each of those teams does not need to manage those or analyze how does it work, how do we set it up, how do we manage and orchestrate it. This can all be done from a platform perspective in a central place for your teams, for your business units, for your project as you just need. For us internally, this speeded up really time that development teams needed for the infrastructure so they can really focus much more on their core task in actually building and building the business applications that SAP is so famous of. So this also killed ramp-up time because, for example, we out of the box already connected every MCP to our company OCI registry and our company identity provider. So the teams do not need to do that anymore. Also, additionally, automatically the MCP writes to our company audit log service, so they even do not need to take care of that. Additionally, we have, as I said, pre-configured open source tooling like Kyverno, Crossplane, and many more. And internally, we also have a lot of advanced guides and guides for them to showcase them how can they actually work, configure each other to work from end-to-end process, for example, for Kubernetes application lifecycle, for example. So let's rewind. With the open managed control plane, we now really have simplified and unified everything. We have everything in the KRM, our whole stack of the cloud landscape and software. It is self-healing and it's now reviewable and revertible. So that's really great. So David, on a Friday after lunch, he's really happy that he used the open MCP offering inside of his company to really spin up all of the infrastructure that he needed and that he could just easily do that. And during lunch, everything reconciled and now everything is great. So with that, he now really can celebrate because he is now able to join his colleagues at the happy hour at the bar and drink margaritas with them and enjoy the weekend. And because everything is self-healing, even if the CEO at the weekend is trying to do something funky stuff on the Kubernetes cluster, it is self-healing and David does not have to work, hopefully, on the weekends this time. Now, let's look into the mission and scope of the project in the context of NeoNephos. OpenMCP is a Kubernetes-based platform that extends the power and simplicity of the declarative Kubernetes API to the management of infrastructure and application lifecycles. It enables infrastructure as data, empowering platform operators with robust automation and allowing service consumers to use a unified API experience for all their cloud-native resources. The mission of OpenMCP is to eliminate the need for various tools with different workflows, configuration paradigms, and deployment methods. And now this is where I might shit my little pants. Let's go to the demo. So what I will show you is the managed control plane UI, which acts primarily on the onboarding API itself. So, and this, of course, is also open source. So let's sign in. And here you can see the project. We are able now to create a project. First, there's a project, then there are workspaces, and inside those workspaces, we have then the MCP itself. Of course, I have prepared a little bit something, and as you can also see, everything here is YAML. So this can be what I'm currently showing you. This can be done via ClickOps, or it also can be done just via automation, via kubectl, or your tooling of your choice that is able to connect to the and understand the Kubernetes API and is able to connect to the to the onboarding cluster itself. Now, let's go in here. We have our workspace, and also this workspace, as you can see here, is also in YAML. This was not the right one. This is a kind of workspace that we have in here with also the members and so on. And here we are now able to create a managed control plane itself. Now let's give it a name, like our famous test 1, 2, 3. The charging type and target is for us internally so that we know what which unit, which team, which product has cost us the some amount for X for this amount of managed control planes. So we can just also add users or service accounts here. So you're also able to create your own service accounts on the onboarding API to do additional automation. And the next one is you now can select which component you would like to manage. And as I said earlier, those components are only the components for us SAP inside. So this is a SAP flavor. Your own OpenMCP onboarding API, your release channel, what you are offering might look different. But with OpenMCP, you can easily extend that and change that to your liking. So please do not think that this is the only components that are available or manageable. No, you can do that with your own components in which version you ever like. So we would like to have cross-plane. We have a couple of providers here. Some are inner sourced, some are open sourced. So if you do not find them open source, please do not feel bad. Then, of course, we have the external secrets operator. We have a couple of versions that we are allowing the users to switch to. And of course, if when there is a new version, we can then just tell our MCP in the spec to use the new version, and it will update and install that automated seamlessly. And with that, we now have our MCP, our manifest, with the versions that we want, and we could easily just create it. And now, in a second, it should appear. So now, behind the curtain, the magic is being ongoing, and we can already connect to MCP that I already have created. You have also this very great insight in your MCP to see which components have been installed, with what versions, what is the YAML for that component, what is the current manifest, what is the current status. You also see that here in a very nice way. And if we would have had already some provider configs or managed resources on that, you would also see that here. And the same for Flux and also for the Landscaper. Landscaper is also something very powerful from SAP open source. So Landscaper, please check it out. Gives you great deployment tooling. Yeah. Good. And with that said, let's jump back to the presentation. So now your mission is now really to go out there and to find one crossplane provider or any other automation tooling of your choice and automate a couple of your manual tasks inside your company, inside your team, inside your project. And of course, come back to us and tell us, what is your story? How did it feel? Where were the gaps? How could we influence each other? How could we help each other? Maybe. Everything that you just have seen here is available at the GitHub organization OpenMCP project and also at the GitHub pages. So please feel free to visit and subscribe. And with that said, I am finished, and thanks a lot, everybody. Please stay in touch, and if somebody has any comments, feel free.
So thank you very much for your nice presentation in the demo. I think it really showed us practically how it works. Maybe we can do it like that. Does anyone have questions regarding the demo from Steffen? To start with that, and afterwards we can also continue with NeoNephos in general.
Then I would say no questions at all. And thanks again, Lillian, for the very nice consultation on how to do presentations. Then I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I would also share my screen again. Yeah, so we are mostly at the second half of the community call, and we wanted to open that up for giving you the chance to raise your questions, to have an open discussion, questions, concerns, ideas, feedback in general. So would be nice if you could open your microphone and say something, how to contribute and so on to the foundation. Okay, not that much response. Generally, we prepared also that as some questions. I don't know if someone wants to start. Please go ahead, or if not, we can also close the meeting early.
Okay, Piotr from Shell Oil and Gas Company. How do you see introducing this kind of tools like OpenMCP and also the entire Apiro stack to a big organization, big enterprise like Shell or another very big company? How would you see the process of starting with playing with those tools like that? Should it be like a kind of MVP greenfield project, or do you have any advice of how to start?
I mean, in general, we have like the documentation ready for every project, so that should help get started. Of course, for an MVP, from a technical perspective, Steffen, Vaso.
Yeah, hi Piotr. Thank you for that question.
I'm mostly interested in the process, right? Because technically, it's of course all based on Kubernetes, so it's pretty simple, right? But I'm thinking of like a process, because we have Terraform or OpenTofu in lots of different places. So how to migrate to already existing projects, or do you always start with greenfield projects? I'm mostly interested in the approach from the stakeholders' perspective.
So typically, one of the issues that we face is when introducing new types of projects, just like what you saw here. It has to be, you have to be able to integrate it brownfield. So if you think about the Apiro stack that is part of how this got created, nobody is waiting for adopting a complete stack, in our opinion. So therefore, because of the breadth of the projects, we have individual entry points, brownfield entry points, as I like to call them. And the process for getting a complete setup. So when we have when you think about the larger picture, that is part of the evolution at the end of the project of about 2 to 3 to 4 years. We believe that we can give you a process where everything is fitting into each other. But please remember that the funding also comes with a next generation mission statement. So we do have to do things in parallel at this point that only makes sense at the later point to be connected. Now, with OpenMCP, you saw that it's all building up on Kubernetes. So the entry point for OpenMCP, or maybe Platform Mesh, which is another project, is essentially in that community. So we want to develop this together with the large oil company and so on. So these are individual points. And if you want to go into the infrastructure, for example, there's another project for that, right? At the end of the journey, we believe that we will have a process where you can basically see, all right, I want to, and I think this is also coming from your demand, I want to renew my infrastructure or my system that I currently deal with, and how do I start? At that point, we will have, together with many adopters, a good blueprint where we say, all right, start with the infrastructure, buy new hardware if you're that kind of a company, or start with the Kubernetes if you don't have it. If you already have a Kubernetes service, start with the platform mesh, start with the OpenMCP. I hope this kind of answers your question. We're in a journey. We're not yet in a ready-built, buy it from SAP. That's exactly not what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question is more technical, because I noticed external secret operator, I noticed crossplane, a couple of components which I already know, but the biggest difficulty in deployment is actually about platform mesh and KCP. This part is really complicated, not easy to deploy. Are you also going to extend OpenMCP with the support for platform mesh? Because this is like the hardest component for me as of now to be deployed.
I think I have to take this one again. Yes, of course, that is exactly where we're going to. So currently we are making sure that the maintainers, the upstream maintainers of KCP are supported by us, that we get an installable KCP with a couple of surrounding technologies. It's not KCP alone. You also need a couple of more things, and that we have it installable, reproducible, reliable. And then the next area is indeed to, and this goes very technically, your question is very technical, to actually exchange the controller runtimes to a multi-controller, and switch out the digital twin source or KRM source from a local cluster to a central platform mesh hosted KCP environment. Does that answer your question?
Definitely. Like I said, we are already experimenting with platform mesh, KCP, API sync agent, and the whole ecosystem.
Oh, fantastic!
We used cluster API to bootstrap the whole infrastructure, but as of today, it looks like OpenMCP could be our next step, or for the future. Bootstrapping of a platform like we're building today, OpenMCP could be the way to go. But the biggest advantage to me, as the team lead, as the leading architect, would be to have this platform mesh capabilities built in to the stack, because deploying crossplane is not that hard. Deploying external secret operator, maybe 2-3 days for a good SRE team, right? And the crossplane, 5, 10, 15 days for a good SRE team, but KCP is like months. We are counting, months when playing with this part. So that would be like a game changer to me. If OpenMCP supports KCP and platform mesh deployment, that would be like a game changer, and I would try to recreate the whole infrastructure in my team completely from scratch, but with use of OpenMCP this time and not Cluster API.
Thank you for this insight. This is exactly the kind of feedback that the teams actually need. Yeah, and contributions, of course.
Okay, thanks.
There's another question.
Yes, my name is Xindong. I have a question. Because I know one project is also from the Linux Foundation. It's named NeoNephos. Is previous name called NCloud. I don't know if you know this project, and because it's in this project, it allows the data from applications from the edge, and multiple edge, and could be stored in the multiple cloud. And my question is in the Opera architecture design, is there is already the design is between the cloud to edge, this connection architecture, or could you introduce a little bit more about this part? Thank you very much.
I know, Florian, and colleagues, can you repeat what is the name of the project? NeoNephos?
NeoNephos. NeXO. Yes, and this is from the LFH initiative, belongs to the Linux Foundation.
Okay, I
And
don't know, I haven't heard of it. No. Can you send a link into the chat?
Yeah, yes.
Maybe. But yeah. And the other part of your question?
Because
was about
this project enables the data from the edge, from multiple edge devices or applications is into the multiple clouds. That's my question is because I know our project or initiatives is also developed the architecture. SAP is responsible to develop the architecture as Opera, right? Is for the Aura, the whole Aura project, and currently in manufacturing X, different projects, for example, construction X, and they will adopt this architecture and adopt this part is into the manufacturing X different projects. As my question is, because it's the data is from the edge, between the edge is to the cloud. This connection there is already the architecture design and how to ensure this secure and secure process storage.
Maybe I can say something to that. Christian Weiss, T-Systems. So we are involved, as you might know, in manufacturing rocks and so on. Yeah. And we have at least in T-Systems and for these projects that we are currently participating, the concept of the data space. Yeah. Concept of data space is about, let's say, having two data space protocol compliant connectors. Yeah, where we have a data space protocol, for example, in the Eclipse, also a working group where we specify exactly according to the, let's say, transfer of the data, also divided on a control plane level and on a data plane level, where we didn't do the actual transfer. So this is a bit independent from what we are discussing here, but nevertheless, so if we deploy, for example, data space connectors within the data space context here on the Apiro platform stack, cloud stack, then we would have also, let's say, from the cloud perspective up to the data layer, an integrated concept. But this is not what we are addressing here currently in the NeoNephos project. But if you're talking about sovereignty, then for sure it could play a role, that we have a sovereign cloud stack, where on top then we can build up sovereign data spaces. Can I ask which company you're from?
No, actually, my question is not regarding the data space protocol, because it's the data space protocol. It's the data exchange layer, yeah, and in the application level. But it's more my concern is the two from the edge, because our IPCI project is focused on the edge, right, from the edge to the cloud in this storage and this transfer. And because the NeoNephos Edge project is provide the possibilities, is the data from the edge devices into the cloud,
Okay,
and
now
in a very secure way. This is my
Okay.
question. Is because I saw they have Kubernetes, yeah, the controlled management controlled plane. This is really very good across plane. And my question is, from the cloud is to edge, and from the edge to cloud. At this stage, do we have already integrate, for example, such a Nexo Edge project is to ensure the secure data exchange and the secure data storage? That's my question.
Yeah, sorry to say, but I don't know the Nexo Edge, yeah, and but now I understood what you mean. So if there is a secure, let's say if we are in an edge environment, yeah, and we have distributed compute nodes, maybe also distributed compute nodes from different companies, and we would like to exchange the data in a secure, reliable way, yeah. I mean, you can do this always if you look on the network level, yeah. But you want to do this on a data level and on a data space level, yeah, because you want to have maybe also functionalities like data discovery, which the connector, for example, offers, yeah. But if you know, okay, a certain data set or a certain data product resides on one or the other edge, then you do this usually via the network solution. Yeah? Therefore, you do not need to have an explicit setup for, let's say, data space connectors. Yeah.
No, we don't.
We are not looking in the NeoNephos currently on networking. Yeah, nevertheless, maybe it's an interesting topic also to look, especially if you want to have a secure transmission between, let's say, remote edges from different companies.
Yeah.
May I ask which company you are from? Or?
My company is the Mulan IT Solutions. It's a consulting and a training provider from the IDSA.
From the IDSA, okay.
Yes, from the IDSA, yes, and yeah.
Okay. Now I understand the background. Okay.
Yes, I also provide training and a certification program is to the industry companies all regarding the data space projects. Yeah, and that is why I really because it's the Neo Age project. This belongs to Linux Foundation, but it's also the main developer is from the Hong Kong company. And this company is also involved in the Hong Kong Chinese cross-border data space projects.
Yeah, we are involved there, as you might know. Yeah, we did a lot of, especially with China in the context also of Catena-X. Yeah, you might have heard this. And yeah, I'm aware of this project, but I'm sorry, I was not aware of the NeoX or Next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and
interesting, and maybe we can get in contact maybe after to discuss that. Yeah.
Okay, I will input my email address. Yeah, and we could get contact. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for your question. Is there anything else?
Thank you very much.
If not, thank you for your participation at the community call on the 12th of November. With that, I would close the call and wish you a nice evening or day for the ones in a different time zone. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.